A lot of my exhibitions deal with how ideas are sort of transformed from one thing to another. I'm primarily interested in how these transmissions would talk about how we relate to each other, and in a larger sort of sense, the possibility of a kind of community that surrounds itself around ways of looking at things and ways of thinking. An Arm, a Leg is actually the title of one of the works within the exhibition, which is a performance that requires a participant or a visitor to the exhibition who will agree to memorize a 500-word short story that I've written. And it's a performance that deals a lot with how two people would come into a relationship which involves an exchange of words. So, and in this case, the words are literally being passed from one to the other. Monument to the People We've Conveniently Forgotten, I Hate You, is made up of 1 million business cards scattered on the floor, and the cards are printed black on both sides. I don't provide instructions for how you would interact with the work. It's something that's very important to me within exhibitions, that visitors are not told what they can or cannot do with the work. So much of the world that surrounds us is constantly telling us how to act in certain spaces. And I think it's interesting that in a lot of my work, I'm trying to sort of, in a way, resist that by allowing so many different possibilities for how a work is being thought about or being, touched or used. That it doesn't make sense to talk about an inherent meaning within the work anymore. And I feel that that's important, that people could produce their own meanings out of it. Another piece that's found in the exhibition is a sign that's appropriated from a sign that I found in Singapore in sort of a public space. It's quite interesting for me to think a lot about the idea of language as a kind of authoritarian endeavor. So it has a lot to do also with choreography, how we are choreographed, how our lives are sort of constantly pushed in certain ways, within cities and within sort of frameworks in which we're sort of like shuffled around in order to produce society. So another work that is found in the space is a set of 66 paintings. The 3 series that I've chosen to draw these paintings from are cover versions, which is a series of paintings of book covers of novels. The second series is a series of abstract paintings, which come from a series called Things That Remain Unwritten. And the third series is drawn from a series called Emails for Strangers. What ties all this series of paintings together is really a kind of consideration of its relationship with the written word and the idea of storytelling. Something I think about a lot when the notion of exhibition refers to something that is very much related to how we put things together, much like a book like an anthology of, say, short stories or writings, where a lot of the meanings behind this anthology is actually produced out of how we choose to associate between these different works. Related to the paintings, it's a new piece that I've developed for the South London Gallery, which is installed in the bookshop. It's a list of books. I purchased these books, and most of them are ex-library books that have been discarded, or just books that somehow would get sold on the second-hand market. It's really about sort of bringing together again a collection of things that the visitor might have this possibility to somehow engage with as a way of accessing not only the stories in these novels, but also to think about why they are in this bookshop in this context. A component of this exhibition that refers to my identity both as an artist and a writer is a piece that I've developed called Writing Rooms, where there are 2 rooms on the first floor of the South London Gallery will be given to 3 different writers, Mira Matir, Natasha Subramaniam, and Luke Williams, who would use these rooms as studio spaces over a course of 10 weeks. These writers would be able to somehow make sense of their own work within this time, and then would transfer also parts of the space into their work. So again, there is this sort of consideration of transposition, transmission, and how sort of one thing often becomes something else very quickly that interests me very much in my work. So there's all this sort of levels and layers of complexity concerning meanings that's hidden in images and in text that sort of is woven into this exhibition, whereby it takes a lot of effort to somehow uncover these things, but it's possibly done in a way that is produced out of your own sort of curiosity, rather than a kind of strict instruction about what something is or not.